You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling waxed paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac Magee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves and bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball scoreboard for Tuesday looks like this: 6:40, Mariners at Phillies falter up against Logan Gilbert. The Nationals travel to the Mets as New York gets ready to welcome in the Atlanta Braves this weekend. Josiah Gray on the mound for Washington. At 7:20 Eastern, right here on Braves Country HD, Charlie Morton and the Atlanta Braves go Game 2 versus the Marlins, hoeing on the mound for Miami. 6:10 Eastern, Rockies at Guardians, Feltner versus Battenfield, who's 0-1 but has a 1.69 ERA. 6:35, Red Sox at the Orioles, Kluber and Bradish going head-to-head. The Dodgers are at the Pirates. Max Muncy is on paternity leave. Noah Syndergaard, 0-3 with a 4.91 ERA, heads to the mound versus Oviedo, 2-1 with a 2.22. Game 2 of Astros versus Rays, Rasmussen versus Garcia. And at 6:40, Reds and Rangers, Martin Perez, Luke Weaver. 7:07, you've got the White Sox in Toronto, Clevenger on the mound for Chicago, Berrios for the Blue Jays. Tigers and Brewers at 7:40, Turnbull versus Lauer. 7:40, Yankees and Twins, Nestor Cortez versus Joe Ryan. What a good one that one should be. At 7:40, you've got the Padres and Cubs starting their series. Blake Snell, 0-3 with a 6.00 ERA versus Justin Steele, 3-0 with a 1.44. Miller versus Canning, A's and Angels, 9:38 first pitch, while Royals, Diamondbacks back at it again, Singer versus Nelson. And at 9:45, the late pitch tonight, Woodford and the St. Louis Cardinals are in San Francisco to take on Brebbia and the Giants. In the NBA, doubleheader on TNT, Atlanta Hawks travel to the Celtics without Murray, who has been suspended. Atlanta trails Boston 3-1. Second part of that doubleheader, Clippers at Suns. Phoenix leads that series 3-1. Westbrook averaging 15.8 in the series, Booker 27.8. And at 9 o'clock on NBA TV, Game 5 of Nuggets versus Timberwolves. Denver will host Minnesota, hoping to close out the series. They lead it 3-1. In the NHL tonight, Islanders and Hurricanes. Carolina leads the series 3-1. Wild at the Stars. Series tied up at 2-2. Puck drops at 8. And at 9:30, Kings and Oilers. Series all knotted up at 2. Those can be seen on ESPN and TBS. Outfielder Brian Reynolds and the Pittsburgh Pirates are in agreement on an 8-year, $106.75 million contract extension, marking the largest deal in franchise history. Before this deal, the Pittsburgh Pirates had been one of 4 major league teams to have never signed a player to a $100 million contract. along with Kansas City, Chicago White Sox, and the Oakland A's. The 28-year-old Reynolds, whose 14 WAR over his 5-year career, ranks 34th in baseball. He'll receive the rights to block trades to 6 teams of his choice annually, but no opt-out. The deal starts this year and includes a 9th-year option, a team option for 2031. He was scheduled to hit free agency after the 2025 season. Notre Dame quarterback Tyler Buchner intends to hit the NCAA transfer portal. Buchner's imminent entrance to the portal makes him the most accomplished quarterback to enter the spring period, and there is expected to be a strong market for his service. He enters with a willingness to return to Notre Dame if he doesn't like his options. Buchner entered the offseason with some momentum after starting the Fighting Irish's 45-38 victory over South Carolina in the Tax Slayer Bowl in Jacksonville, going 18 of 33, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He began the 22 season as the starter in the first 2 games against Ohio State Marshall before suffering a shoulder injury to the Thundering Herd. Buchner enters the 2023 season as a junior, but still has 3 years of eligibility remaining because he played just 3 games in the 22 season, making him eligible for redshirt. Former Notre Dame offensive coordinator Tommy Rees left the Irish for the Crimson Tide this offseason, becoming increasingly clear in Alabama's spring game on Saturday that the program lacks a clear-cut starter. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum and Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pub cup. Really? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair. YouTube Live.
Radio station. The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
Listening to Braves Country with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac Magee. I don't know much, but I know one thing. If the Carolina Panthers traded up to get the number 1 pick to draft Will Levis out of Kentucky, they are damn fools.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? I don't know if you've heard this report or not, but it's coming out that the Panthers increased odds, and how you know there's some legitimacy to it. Now, it all could be smoke and mirrors, but how there's some legitimacy to it is the fact that increased odds that they will draft Levis out of Kentucky, because sports books have moved the needle. And when sports books move the needle, there's usually something to it. I mean, you're messing with their money at that point, right? You normally don't get a situation where they're going to move up and change all the odds when they think it's going to be someone else. Will Levis went from plus 4,000 to plus 1,000 this morning over some report, and I'm not really familiar with the outlet that reported it, so I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. but it's some report that came through, and they are claiming that there is a very, very good very good possibility, I should say, that Will Levis is going to be drafted Thursday, number 1 by the Panthers. Can you imagine what the fan base is going to be like if any of this is remotely true? Now, I have a hard time believing it, and I think it's smoke and mirrors, but if any of this is remotely true, I just have a hard time believing it, because you're talking about trading up to the number 1 pick, giving up all they gave to get a guy who's being projected as the 3rd, sometimes the 4th quarterback off the board. Why? I mean, why? Why would you give up that much capital to go get a guy that I don't know if he would have been there when they were picking, but it would have been close. It would have been close. So I just have a hard time believing, especially because it seems like Bryce Young has been told that he's being drafted. So the whole thing is extremely odd, and we'll continue to dig into it. But as of right now, what everyone thought was a foregone conclusion, which was Bryce Young going to the Panthers, appears to be somewhat on hold, I guess is the best way to put it. It appears to be somewhat on hold going forward, because when 3 or 4 of the major books in Las Vegas change their odds to who is going to be the number 1 pick, that's a strange one. And I just don't get it. I'm watching a highlight right now of him throwing a pick 6. Now they were highlighting the defensive back in the play, but it's Levis behind center that's throwing the pick 6 where he stared the guy right in. So I don't get it. And buddy of mine sent me this text today, and pretty much dead on. If they do draft Levis over Stroud or over who everyone thinks is going to be Young, maybe Frank Reich didn't get enough of the Carson Wentz experience, because it's an odd thing that you have going on right now. And so that's item number 1. We're going to take a quick trip around the horn and talk about some of the moves that have gone on. We're going to get into Braves Marlins up next. Brian Reynolds signs an 8-year, $107 million, $106.75 to be exact, contract extension that's going to begin this year with a club option for 2031. So it could be worth up over $120 million if the Pirates pick up that option. And this is a big deal, not for a lot of teams, but for the Pirates, who have never spent this kind of money. They were one of 4 teams that had never broken the $100 million plateau in contracts, and now there's only 3. And what surprises me the most, it didn't surprise me that the Royals are involved. It didn't surprise me that the Oakland A's have never gone $100 million. Technically, when they say the Marlins have, that's a little disingenuous, because shortly after signing Stanton to that big mega deal, they traded him. But technically, they signed him. But the Chicago White Sox, that's the 4th team. The Chicago White Sox, in one of the biggest markets in all of Major League Baseball. They've never signed a deal over $100 million. And I know it's real easy to spend everybody else's money. But the Chicago White Sox, that's the team. That's an odd one. That is a really odd one. And I cannot believe that is even remotely true. I got to thinking about it. I was like, now that I've seen it in black and white and got to thinking, I was like, I don't recall the White Sox bringing it. You'll see them make minor moves in the offseason, usually deals in the 75 range, nice little pieces, nice little fits, as they call it. They just let Abreu walk, but I didn't kill him for that, because he's 36 years old and he's obviously having a power outage. The Braves bullpen was a disaster this weekend, and he still didn't hit one out. I mean, we are almost 25 games into the season, and Jose Abreu has no home runs. That's concerning if you're a White Sox fan. He's a big presence to that lineup because of what he used to do. But if he's not going to hit home runs, he has no speed. His glove is average at best. What have you signed? You know what you've signed? You signed a Marcell Ozuna. That's what you've signed. Other things going around Major League Baseball. Clint Frazier was released by the Texas Rangers. Nate Pearson recalled by the Toronto Blue Jays. Interesting. Once one of the bigger prospects in all of Major League Baseball has kind of bounced up and down, but he's being recalled by the Toronto Blue Jays. And that's about it on the baseball front. In the National Football League, obviously, it became official this morning where Aaron Rodgers traded to the Jets, and they're going to trade their number 1 pick and their number 5 and their 5th round pick. So their 1st round pick and their 5th round pick to Green Bay, along with a conditional 2024 2nd round pick, and they will receive the Green Bay 1st round pick. So basically they're flip-flopping about 3 spots. They're going to send their 2nd round pick. That's the big deal. And they're going to flip-flop and send their 6th round pick. So the 5th round goes to the Jets. The 6th round goes to the, 5th round to the Jets, 6th to the Packers. But the big thing is in the whole deal of, because they're only separated by what? We mentioned it yesterday. The 2nd round pick, or excuse me, the 5th round pick, it's only separated by less than 20 picks. The big get here for the Packers is that they move up a couple of notches in the 1st round, and then they get the 2nd round pick, which is an early 2nd round pick. It's pick number 11 in the 2nd round for number 42 overall. Ashawn Robinson, defensive end for the Giants, signs a 1-year deal with the Giants, $8 million. Miles Boykin, wide receiver, signed a 1-year deal with Pittsburgh. And the Jets also added center Connor McGovern on a 1-year deal. And that pretty much gets you caught up. Okay, let's go and take a quick break. When we come back, it's time to talk a little Braves. Braves, Marlins. Holy cow. We almost had ourselves a night. We had ourselves a night, but we almost had ourselves a night last night. Spencer Strider was absolutely dealing. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country.
Now, I'm not saying I've never driven drunk, because I've drank so much in my life. Now on the back of my driver's license, there's a list of organs I need.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
How to improve your dining room by the Home Depot. New wood floors, new paint on the walls. Sure, you know us for that. But how about a new dining room table, matching chairs, bar stools? How about free and flexible delivery with easy online returns? Now you can explore decor in a whole new way. Save now on furniture. Everything for your home. Everything from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines 2 of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Whatever We Have in Stock Are Us, your one-stop place to shop for whatever we happen to have lying around at the time.
You're listening to WQEE, home of Braves Country. weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
When you were my age, did you ever have trouble deciding what you wanted to do with your life?
No, I've never had that problem, really. Why?
Forget it. I didn't think you'd understand.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know. I don't know.
Welcome back. Jimmy Butler going for 56 last night, sending over the Bucks. Man, Milwaukee Bucks were the number one seed. They looked unstoppable, and they're a game away from elimination in the NBA playoffs. That would be a wild story. What a great series that would be between Jimmy Butler versus the New York Knicks. That would be a lot of fun. I think the Memphis Grizzlies, you can pretty much put a fork in them. They are done. All right, time to get you started. Time to get you ready for Braves Marlins tonight, 7:20 Eastern. We'll have first pitch right here on Braves Country HD. And I'm excited about tonight's game. You got Charlie Morton going to the hill against Brian Hoeing. Hoeing being called up, never seen him pitch, never heard. I don't know much about him. I'm going to try to do a deep dive shortly before first pitch. But this is a game the Atlanta Braves should win. Much like last night. Last night, Spencer Strider was absolutely dealing. The only good thing that came of that base hit given up by Strider in the 8th is that it got Olsen off the hook for the error in the 6th. Because for folks who didn't catch the game, Spencer Strider had a perfect game going. And a hot shot to Matt Olsen went off his glove. And that stopped the perfect game. The no-hitter was broken up in the 8th with a single. But Spencer Strider, 13 strikeouts. Unbelievable game. 13 strikeouts. He was about it. Now, look, I get it that it was the Marlins and they don't have the best offense. I understand that. But it makes you feel pretty good heading towards the weekend when you know he's going to be game 2 starter against the Mets. When Spencer Strider's out there dealing like that. I don't know if he would have ever gotten to that perfect game because I don't really know if I feel like Snicker probably would have with a perfect game or even a no-hitter would have given him a chance to go. But had he done it, look, he ended up being right at the 100 pitch mark when the 8th inning ended, which means if he would have come back out, you're talking about at least, 10 to 15 more pitches at least. That's sometimes a situation where a team will then go and punt the guy's next start or push it back several days. So had he thrown the no-hitter, had he thrown the perfect game last night, that would have been great, but I don't know if he would have been available for the Mets series, which realistically, big picture is much more important. And the fact that he had no walks, 13 strikeouts, that's the most mind-boggling number of because Strider typically, when he goes out there and K's 9 or 10 guys, he usually has about 3 passes. He gave none up. 0 last night. And they did have Cooper and Chisholm and Soler all in the lineup. They didn't have Arias. He's been dealing with what they're calling a knee contusion. But all in all, this was the A lineup for the Miami Marlins. We'll be back at it again tonight. We'll do the whole lineups for both teams right before first pitch, but just taking an overview of what the Braves are going to be bringing to the table tonight. You got Acuna and Olsen and Riley and Murphy. That has not changed. I still say, look, I know Rosario got a hold of one last night, and that's great. And he went 2 for 4, and that's great. But Ozzie Albies was 3 for 5. 3 RBIs, and I still say he needs to be behind Sean Murphy. It makes zero sense that he's hitting behind Rosario. Now, the one good thing with Rosario in the lineup and batting 5th behind Murphy in front of Ozzie is that Eddie's the DH, which means no Marcell Ozuna in the lineup. The automatic out is out of the lineup. He did reach base yesterday via the walk. He's batting 073. 073. Good news, Colin McHugh has been activated, so he is back from the IL. So that right there to me, with McHugh coming back, and I'm glad he's got a couple of games before we hit the Mets series, because I'd like to see him get in at least one time before we head to Gotham, because you want to make sure that he's on top of everything. Oh, and by the way, while we're talking about that, because Strider went 8 innings and only Jimenez got in the game, the bullpen got a break last night. And the way Jimenez is pitched, and he's gotten better as the season's gone along, but essentially the way he's pitched, he's not a high leverage guy to begin with. I don't think the Braves have a lot of faith in him, even though he's pitched well his last couple of times out. They haven't been high leverage situations. Now, he's dropped his ERA down to 2.25, and that's great. But there's a big difference between him being in a high leverage situation and getting in mop-up duty and mowing him down. But Jimenez was the only relief pitcher that pitched last night, so the whole bullpen should be rested and ready to go tonight, which I think is key, because Charlie Morton tends to have a high pitch count, and in recent starts, we'll say the last year or so, it's rare that he gets into the 7th, 8th inning. You're really more looking at a Charlie Morton that's probably going to go 5, hopefully 6, if he's pitching well, stays out of danger. So it'll be good to have the whole 9 yards ready for that. And looking at tonight's game, the Braves go into this game. Now they are a full game in front of the Mets, because the Mets were off last night. Here's the bad news. The Mets are starting a home series against the Washington Nationals, who they absolutely crush. So I'm not liking our chances to gain ground on the Mets. It almost feels like we're going to have to sweep the Marlins to go into New York up a game. There is a puncher's chance tonight. Jose Butto, which I believe this is more of a essentially a bullpen game for the Mets. He's going up against Josiah Gray. And the reason why they're doing that is they're pushing a couple guys back because they're getting ready for the Braves series. Now, what would be great is while they're doing that, they lose ground on us, right? So Josiah Gray, we all know Gray. He's been with Washington for a while now, came over in the trade from the Dodgers. He's got good stuff, but he's really erratic. I mean, he's got a 3.74 ERA this year. That's not too shabby, but he's got a 1.48 whip. He's got 16 strikeouts, not too bad. He's walked 9. And the Mets will work a count. They're one of the best in the business at working the count. And so I don't necessarily love our chances of gaining a game on the Mets today. But if Washington's bats can get hot, that's the only way they're doing this. I don't see Josiah Gray going out there and just mowing down the New York Mets, because they're going to make them work. And they're going to get on base. He's given up 4 home runs already this year. As far as the Braves and Marlins go, I'm expecting tonight for Atlanta to be able to put some runs on the board. And when we go into tonight's game, I like this lineup so much more than last night's lineup. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to score more than 11 runs. Marlins fell behind pretty early. They put the back of their bullpen, or the front of their bullpen in, and we're just giving up taters left and right. But I like this lineup a lot better, top to bottom, even though I still say Sam Hilliard and Ozzie Albies deserve to be higher. Why Rosario isn't hitting down where Hilliard is and vice versa, I mean, is it just because of contracts? That's a stupid reason not to put a guy where he belongs. If you had Hilliard batting 6th, Ozzie 5th is the way I would like it. Grissom, it's fine, keep him in the 7 hole. And then Rosario down there at 8, DHing. And then, of course, if they go to a left-hander later in the game, you can always flip-flop out. But all I ask is if they go to a left-hander out of the Marlins bullpen in a key situation, for the love of all that is holy, do not let me see Marcell Ozuna coming up to the bat with 2 on and 2 out in a tie ball game in the 7th or 8th inning. He needs to keep his can on the bench unless the game is out of hand one way or the other. And for that matter, I respect his work ethic. I respect the fact that they talk about how he comes to the park and is constantly working on his game. But Adrianza is not bringing anything to the table either. The only thing that he gives us is a little bit of some speed on the base pass if need be. And he gives us a reliable glove for a day off. But when Orlando Arcia comes back, you've got to get rid of Adrianza. It is an absolute automatic out. Between him and Ozuna, they're automatic outs. Now, look, I firmly believe that Ozuna's on his way out, not worried about him long term. But Adrianza, man, we have been down this path before. Remember when we won the World Series and he had like 25, 30 at bats that year? He didn't get a single hit. We're heading that same direction this year. It's unbelievable. And when they're loyal to someone, they are loyal to someone. And there's nothing that goes on that you could honestly say makes any sense of why Ozuna or Adrianza continue to get at bats. You can tell me that you need him for depth until certain folks come back. You can sell me on a lot of things. But Adrianza was a waste all night last night. Along with Ozuna. It was a dead. It's amazing we scored 11 runs with those 2 dead holes in the middle of the lineup. But thankfully Grissom's back in the lineup today. I think it was good to give him a day off. And so the Adrianza thing I kind of understood, but I didn't understand why you would have them both him and Ozuna in the lineup in the same day. You're asking for trouble. Kevin Pillar, I'd like to see him hit a little better, but man, he's been really good out there in the outfield playing defense. He's actually had a couple of big hits. And the one thing I like about Pillar is that even when he is not having great at bats as far as the result, he's up there fighting during his at bats, and he's making the pitcher work, and he's not just giving away outs. But it was nice to get the blowout. I mean, come on. After getting swept by the Astros, even though it was the Marlins, it was nice to be able to kick your feet up and just go, all right, we got this one by about what? The 5th inning? And watching Strider do his thing. Do you realize something too? Spencer Strider is on a club-friendly deal. These next few years, he's only getting paid like $1 million. I think the last I believe it's the last 3 years of his deal, he's getting 64. But the front end, this year and the next 2, he's getting paid a very low rate. I'm a little shocked that he agreed to it. I didn't realize, or maybe I just don't remember, that it was that low of a contract to start his career. Now, I'm not saying he's a fool for signing it because, look, financial security and knowing that no matter what happens with Major League Baseball contracts being guaranteed, he knows that he is set for life if he doesn't do anything stupid. But I'm just shocked that we're able to pay him $1 million. That kind of offsets the stupidity of the Marcell Ozuna. And assuming that he comes back healthy, the Arcia deal offsets that as well. Because if we all had a magic wand, we would love to be able to wave it right now and undo the Marcell Ozuna nightmare that has been. He had the great year in 2020, and hindsight's always 2020. All puns intended here on Armchair Quarterback Radio. But what we should have done is just let him walk. And I can remember one of the contributors here on the show during that time period was saying that he didn't think that the Braves should re-sign him, and he ended up being right about it. I was on the fence and indifferent, and I was kind of like, well, he had a really good year. I kind of trust Anthopoulos. If he thinks that this is the way to go, then I'm all for it. Because it wasn't it. He still, when you look at it, he didn't sign for an exorbitant amount for what guys get paid nowadays. Realistically, it was supposed to be a steal. A guy that, for all intents and purposes, could have been the MVP of 2020. He led the league in a lot of your major categories. But once again, it was the bubble ship, and it was a 60-game sprint. And that's why I don't count anything in that year from any sport realistically, because everything that happened in that year is a fraud. But when they re-signed him, nobody knew what was about to happen. He was going to break his hand. Then while his hand was being broken, he was going to have the domestic violence thing. Then when he comes back, finally, after the injury, he just has never been the same. But I don't think it's got anything to do with the injury. I think we caught lightning in a bottle with him in 2020, and we should have just left it at that, looking back on it. But the Braves were wanting to, at the time, ensure that there was going to be a dominant bat behind. Well, now it's Olsen, but at the time, Freddie Freeman, when we were first negotiating. And, It just did not turn out well. But you got to suck it up, and you basically just got to grind that contract up and eat it and move on. It's time. He has been here for way too much longer than he should have. I knew he was going to break with the team because Sticker mentioned it early in the spring. But I wonder if Harris hadn't got banged up and Darno hadn't been going through the concussion thing that he's been going through, would he even still be on the roster right now? I think the answer is no. And it looks like Michael Harris is going to be back by this weekend. They're talking about him just needing 1 or 2 days on a minor league rehab stint. And it looks like there's a very good chance that Travis d'Arnaud, the Mets killer, is going to be back by this weekend. So all signs are pointing north as we're about to head north into New York. And, of course, we get Colin McHugh back. And then, of course, our closer, Iglesias, he's ramping up. He's been doing his bullpen work. And so I think he's probably, I'm going to say 2 weeks away from returning. It would be unrealistic to think that he could get ready in time for the Mets series here, but 2 weeks from returning. And the other quick thing that I want to hit before we hit the break, I was looking at the schedule, and because I was looking at the upcoming schedules of the Braves and Mets, because the two teams you got to worry about right now. You know, you kind of have your in the rear view mirror keeping an eye on the Phillies, a little bit on the Marlins, but let's be honest, it's the Mets. I kept seeing, I'm like, my God, every time I turn around, they're playing a team like the Nationals. They just played the Giants. When do they play anybody? Because we're supposed to play everybody, right? They've got a pretty easy stretch in the very near future, outside of the series against us. It gets a little tough for them in June, but the big thing that I saw, and I think this is huge, the New York Mets are going to finish with the Philadelphia Phillies 7 times in the last 10 games of the season. While they're doing that, we're going to finish with the Washington Nationals, sprinkled in with the Cubs sandwiched in. And if the Cubs are out of the playoff hunt, they're not going to be playing any for anything. I believe the Mets, I believe it's Phillies, Marlins, Phillies is how it is with the Mets. Yeah, it was Phillies, Marlins, Phillies. The Braves are Nationals, Cubs, Nationals. Which means if we're tied going in to the last 10 to 14 games of the season, advantage Atlanta Braves. Because other than the Cubs who've been feisty this year, I'll take that all day long. Even though the Mets have kind of owned Philly, I'll take that all day long. Philly having a chance to knock out the Mets. They'll take it. All right, let's take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into a little more Major League Baseball. I'm going to react to some of the comments I see here on YouTube. And also, look, NBA playoffs are going on and the NFL draft. So much going on in the world of sports, and a programming update. I got some news on that. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country HD.
What are you babbling about? Well, maybe I just think you're being a little hard on her.
Well, that's nice. But right now I am too angry to pretend to give a crap about what you think.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Drive time. QEE.
Started training mixed martial arts, MMA, some people call it UFC. You do UFC. UFC is an organization. MMA, mixed martial arts, is a sport. That's like saying you do NBA, you do Golden State Warrior. Anyway.
Welcome back. Braves Country today, coming your way live 3 to 5 every day. We are planning a morning show in the future. I don't have all the details as far as when we're going to start it, when it'll begin, and how the guests it'll be somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour in the mornings, and we'll pass along all the information when we know more. Still trying to free stuff up on my schedule to be able to do it. But it's basically going to be a synopsis of Atlanta Braves baseball, primarily talking the Braves in the morning and Major League Baseball. And then obviously the Braves Country today, we'll get more into it, because by the 3 o'clock show, lineups are normally out, whatnot. The morning show is going to be more about reacting to what happened the night before, and the plan is to do it Monday through Friday, and whether or not it'll be, my guess will be somewhere around 9 a.m. Eastern, but we could drop it anywhere between 9 and late morning. I haven't figured all that stuff out yet, but hopefully get that going here in the early part of May. We were thinking we were going to be able to get it by May 1st, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. So we will keep you up to date on that, and we're just going to see how it goes, see if it's popular enough to continue it, and if so, then we'll continue to do both, heading towards October, football season, all that stuff that'll be coming around the corner very, very quickly. You got the NBA, you got the NFL draft right here. And once the NFL draft comes, that really starts the NFL calendar, because shortly after that, we'll get the schedule drop. And then folks really start looking at, this rookie's going to be going up against this rookie in this game. And you get excited about that. And I think the biggest thing about the schedule drop, I think for most fans, or at least it is for me, is that not only do you see the matchups, but you also get to see what are the Sunday night games, what are the Thursday night games, what are the games that are going to be on, depending on your schedule, because everyone's got crazy schedules nowadays. What are going to be the games that I'm going to have a realistic chance of watching my team, or maybe it's your favorite player. So many fans nowadays, because of fantasy football and whatnot, there's so many fans out there in the NFL that don't even have what I would call diehard affiliation with the team anymore. They're more affiliated, especially if you're in a big money fantasy football league, and I'm talking about high stakes, not the stuff that we play for. I'm talking about high stakes. Yeah, you're damn right you're going to have more of an affiliation if you're talking about guys who are putting thousands of dollars into to play in certain leagues. You're going to have a much higher affiliation with that guy and the guys that are good on that team than you are with even your local football team, because your local football team is not making you any money. It's a slippery slope. And I know a lot of folks are like, oh, this is why I don't like fantasy sports. Okay, well, that's great. That's why you don't like it. But a lot of folks do. And it definitely moves the needle. If it wasn't for fantasy football, I don't think the NFL would be nearly as popular. I think it'd be very popular. I think it would still be the most popular sport, but it wouldn't be at the point that it is right now. Because I could remember growing up as a kid, NFL, college football, there was always kind of a debate on which one was actually more popular. Well, the NFL has skyrocketed past college football, and some of it has to do with gambling, but more of it has to do with the fantasy football aspect. And you got that draft within, I mean, we're just talking about 48 hours now, essentially. And I just cannot believe that this story can even be close to being true. That the Carolina Panthers would have taken all that draft capital just to move up to grab Will Levis. And Will Levis may turn out to be a fine quarterback. But the point is, you wouldn't have had to trade up that high to go get a guy that would have been there probably around the area that you're what were they, the 8th or 9th pick? He probably would have been there, or you could have traded up and lost less draft capital to get him at 3 with Arizona. It's a really, really strange story if this ends up being true. I still think it's smoke and mirrors. You get a lot of these things right before the draft, and you get it every single time where there's at least one story that's total hogwash, but there are the crazy stories that ended up being true, like the Trey Lance. I had a hard time believing that San Francisco was trading up all that draft capital to get Trey Lance, a guy who had absolutely, positively no real football experience, and they traded their future away to draft him number 3 overall. And we've seen how that turned out. And this isn't hindsight 2020 here. We were saying this the year he was drafted. I was standing on the table going, what are you nuts? You can't draft this guy that high. Oh, well, he looked really good in the combine. He's really, really talented. Kadert. Okay. I get it. But the guy also played like 6 college football games. And remember, this is all going down, coming off of the pandemic. And remember, he played like one random ball game during the pandemic because his team had been shut down. So they scheduled like one game basically to showcase him. And he was awful in that game. And San Francisco was still, can you imagine what San Francisco would look like if they had not blown their entire draft capital to go get him? They're already one of the best teams in the NFL. It's kind of scary when you think about how good they could have been. It's Trey Lance. Has been an absolute bust. And there's talks about that folks are asking about trade calls coming in for Trey Lance. What are you getting for him if you're San Francisco? Because this is the ultimate buy high, sell low is what they would have done. Because I can't imagine that they would get much for him. Now, unless they just want to get the headache out of there. But I can't imagine that Trey Lance would have will bring you anything more than like a 5th rounder at this point. Remember, that was the same. I guess it could have been worse. Well, I don't know. They're about the same. I was about to make a joke. It could have been worse because Zach Wilson went 2 overall. But, I mean, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, there's not much of a difference. But you look at that draft, what they passed on. San Francisco could have had Justin Fields in that draft. Mac Jones was the other quarterback that went high in that draft. Obviously, that was the Trevor Lawrence draft. But Justin Fields, but let's say they didn't go quarterback in that draft. And let's say they pivoted. They could have had Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. All these guys were drafted after Trey Lance. Surtain, J.C. Horn, Devontae Smith, Micah Parsons. Can you imagine that? Yeah, imagine Micah Parsons on that San Francisco defense. Holy nightmare. But I'll tell you what, that is a 1-2 bust right there. Jets drafted Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. I don't know if y'all saw this or not, but there's a video going around that someone's put together where I believe the interview was shortly after the season or maybe at the end of the Jets season, somewhere in that area. And there was a reporter asking Zach Wilson, what if the New York Jets bring in quarterback X? And that's how they put it. What if the Jets brought in quarterback X as the starting quarterback for the Jets next year? How would you welcome him in? And Zach Wilson, being the cocky, worthless SOB that he is, said something to the effect of, I'm going to make his life a living hell, laughing, and you know, like he's some threat to a established veteran in the NFL, a guy who can't hit the broadside of a barn, a guy who can't read a defense if it was in Braille. And then right after that, in the video, there's a picture of Aaron Rodgers on the sideline laughing. Now he's gone a complete 180 here. Heck, Zach Wilson's mom, who's known to be very highly involved on Instagram and which probably isn't helping Zach Wilson's career, but she tweeted out a clapping emoji, basically welcoming in Aaron Rodgers into the Jets. Because she's probably looking at it, my son's only chance of making anything of himself is to learn from Aaron Rodgers. I still don't think it's going to happen. I still think he thinks he's better than what he is. And Aaron Rodgers has always been very defensive. Aaron Rodgers did not mentor Jordan Love. Now, he might have a different take on it because he's coming into an organization and he knows he only has a couple years left. He might take it on as a personal, let me be the good guy and actually mentor this kid. But I'll just be shocked if it happens because it hasn't happened so far. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, Joey's going to join us. We got the mock draft, another cram session. Going to jam in about 8 picks here in the next hour. We're going to talk a little baseball and a lot more. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball scoreboard for Tuesday looks like this. 6:40, Mariners at Phillies falter up against Logan Gilbert. The Nationals travel to the Mets as New York gets ready to welcome in the Atlanta Braves this weekend. Josiah Gray on the mound for Washington. At 7:20 Eastern, right here on Braves Country HD, Charlie Morton and the Atlanta Braves go Game 2 versus the Marlins, hoeing on the mound for Miami. 6:10 Eastern, Rockies at Guardians, Feltner versus Battenfield, who's 0-1 but has a 1.69 ERA. 6:35, Red Sox at the Orioles. Kluber and Bradish going head-to-head. The Dodgers are at the Pirates. Max Muncy is on paternity leave. Noah Syndergaard, 0-3 with a 4.91 ERA, heads to the mound versus Oviedo, 2-1 with a 2.22. Game 2 of Astros versus Rays, Rasmussen versus Garcia. And at 6:40, Reds and Rangers. Martin Perez, Luke Weaver. 7:07, you've got the White Sox in Toronto. Clevenger on the mound for Chicago. Berrios for the Blue Jays. Tigers and Brewers at 7:40. Turnbull versus Lauer. 7:40, Yankees and Twins. Nestor Cortez versus Joe Ryan. What a good one that one should be. At 7:40, you've got the Padres and Cubs starting their series. Blake Snell, 0-3 with a 6.00 ERA versus Justin Steele, 3-0 with a 1.44. Miller versus Canning, A's and Angels, 9:38 first pitch. While Royals, Diamondbacks back at it again, Singer versus Nelson. And at 9:45, the late pitch tonight, Woodford and the St. Louis Cardinals are in San Francisco to take on Brebbia and the Giants. In the NBA, doubleheader on TNT, Atlanta Hawks travel to the Celtics without Murray, who has been suspended. Atlanta trails Boston 3-1. Second part of that doubleheader, Clippers at Suns. Phoenix leads that series 3-1. Westbrook averaging 15.8 in the series, Booker 27.8. And at 9 o'clock on NBA TV, Game 5 of Nuggets versus Timberwolves. Denver will host Minnesota, hoping to close out the series. They lead it 3-1. In the NHL tonight, Islanders and Hurricanes. Carolina leads the series 3-1. Wild at the Stars. Series tied up at 2-2. Puck drops at 8. And at 9:30, Kings and Oilers. Series all knotted up at 2. Those can be seen on ESPN and TBS. Outfielder Brian Reynolds and the Pittsburgh Pirates are in agreement on an 8-year, $106.75 million contract extension, marking the largest deal in franchise history. Before this deal, the Pittsburgh Pirates had been one of 4 major league teams to have never signed a player to a $100 million contract, along with Kansas City, Chicago White Sox, and the Oakland A's. The 28-year-old Reynolds, who's 14 WAR over his 5-year career, ranks 34th in baseball. He'll receive the rights to block trades to 6 teams of his choice annually, but no opt-out. The deal starts this year and includes a 9th-year option, a team option for 2031. He was scheduled to hit free agency after the 2025 season. Notre Dame quarterback Tyler Buchner intends to hit the NCAA transfer portal. Buchner's imminent entrance to the portal makes him the most accomplished quarterback to enter the spring period, and there is expected to be a strong market for his service. He enters with a willingness to return to Notre Dame if he doesn't like his options. Buchner entered the offseason with some momentum after starting the Fighting Irish's 45-38 victory over South Carolina in the Tax Slayer Bowl in Jacksonville, going 18 of 33, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He began the 22 season as the starter in the first 2 games against Ohio State Marshall before suffering a shoulder injury to the Thundering Herd. Buchner enters the 2023 season as a junior, but still has 3 years of eligibility remaining because he played just 3 games in the 22 season, making him eligible for redshirt. Former Notre Dame offensive coordinator Tommy Rees left the Irish for the Crimson Tide this offseason, becoming increasingly clear in Alabama's spring game on Saturday that the program lacks a clear-cut starter. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com @Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hey, Braves Country! Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night, and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac Magee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball for the fans, by the fans.
It's time to live, laugh, and create memories again with MSC Cruises. Join us on some of the world's most modern and innovative ships. Discover again at our new private island, Ocean Key MSC Marine Reserve, named Best New Cruise Destination. Cruise the Caribbean and Bahamas from Miami or Port Canaveral. Book now with free balcony upgrades and flexible booking changes. Call your travel advisor or visit msccruises.com. Restrictions apply. MSC Cruises, a world of discovery.
Let me see if I can cut to the chase by using myself as an example. 6 months ago, I was living in Boston. My wife had left me, which was very painful. Then she came back to me, which was excruciating.
Welcome back. And welcoming in. Weighing in at, what are you, about 220 pounds? 230?
Pretty spot on. 6 foot, 225.
The round mound of rebound, Mr. Joey Ariola. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm having a good day. We're inching closer to the draft. I'm getting sick of hearing all the changes. Like today, I heard Will Levis shot up the sports book with a couple of sites. So
What is that?
I don't even know
that draft capital to go get a guy that would have been there most likely in that. I mean, I'm just going to put it this way: you probably could have got him if you traded up with Arizona. He's probably sitting there. Don't you think?
Yeah, and that's why, maybe I'm just going to be stubborn and stake in my beliefs. I still think Bryce Young's going number 1 overall. But, hey, Vegas, it's just wild how things change this last minute because there's nothing – teams are saying anything, obviously, at this point. And we know everything about these quarterbacks inside and out, at least the teams do, if we do not. And it's like – what changes in the last couple of days? What did Houston or Carolina Frank Reich pick up the phone and have a great combo with Will Levis? And then it's like, what's going on here? It just makes no sense to me.
Okay, did I read the tea leaves wrong? But didn't Bryce Young cancel all his other trips because he's pretty much been told that he's going to be drafted?
Correct.
So what in the hell? I guess there is no other end to that sentence. What in the hell, man?
That is the sentence. That's a statement. That's the question.
I don't get it because if you're going to trade up for all that, give up all that draft capital, man, here's the other thing. Is that going to satisfy your fan base? Will Levis?
Definitely not at number 1.
And as I was talking about this in the first hour, they were showing a clip to show off because I thought it was someone mocking, but no, they were showing a clip to highlight a defensive player on the field. But in the highlight was Will Levis throwing a pick 6. And I think, and I was like, what?
And what scares me even more than that when I hear comparisons, because they're always trying to compare these guys to what we have now or what we've seen. The answer that most people, when they jump on the radio, say they compare him to is Carson Wentz. So when you hear that comparison, wow, that was good for oof.
Frank Reich went through the freaking Carson Wentz
twice.
Debacle. Yeah, twice. Is he just, you think third time is going to be the charm? Third time's going to get fired.
You know what would be amazing is if they signed Carson Wentz somehow. I don't even know if he's on the Washington roster, but say they got Carson Wentz and then Will Levis was the backup.
Go get Carson Wentz. Go get some Cam Newton. Let's go.
No, he's coming to my hometown, okay?
Yeah, there's not 32 quarterbacks better than me. I know there's like 60 to 70 better than you.
I was going to say, you're not even in the top 40, my man.
You're talking about 32. Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
See, I thought I saw some I thought there were some questions, but I guess I was wrong on the chats. Just a lot of folks happy about the Braves' big win last night, and of course Spencer Strider almost getting the perfect game, and then almost getting the no-hitter. Really good night to be a Braves fan last night. We needed that after that sweep. Man, that's bad action right there, getting swept at home, even if it is to the Astros, especially when you lead every game. And your bullpen, supposed to be the strength of your team, is just spitting the bit everywhere. You don't realize how. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's nothing more disappointing because it happened to the Cubs a couple of times against the Dodgers this past weekend when, you either tie the game or you get the lead and then you get the bullpen going. And it's just like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? These guys just can't figure it out. And the other team's just spraying shots off the wall, out of the ballpark. Very frustrating.
What was most frustrating about that game or that series was a couple of the hits that were made by the Astros, mainly Alvarez. They were good pitches. He just turned on them. That guy, he reminds me so much of David Ortiz, where he has the ability in a big moment to take it up to the next level. And sometimes there's no getting this guy out. Sometimes I was screaming at the TV on Sunday. My wife thought I was nuts because I'm in the back room just screaming at the TV right. And I'm like, walk him. She's like, aren't the bases loaded? I said, yes, walk him. It's only going to cost you one run if you walk him. We see what happens if we pitch to him. Multiple runs. I think I tweeted it out about that just before that happened or whatever. I tweeted out, you got to start giving Alvarez the Barry Bonds treatment unless he's in a slump. But he's been hitting well, man. You just got to walk the guy.
Yeah, and another thing to add to that Astro series is you knew that team was going to get hot at some point. This is not a roster that is playing a below 500 ball. I mean, they're just not. They're one of the deepest teams in the league, if not the deepest, in my opinion, when healthy. I know they have some injuries.
I guess my point is less frustrating if you get your butt kicked as opposed to led every single game into the sixth inning.
Correct.
And so you just, it's just extremely frustrating. But that's baseball.
Hey, at least you, like you said, back in the winning column of things never feels better than that, right? Got to get back on the winning side.
Yeah, and we're back at it again tonight. And, of course, we'll bring you first pitch, 7:20 here on Braves Country HD. Charlie Martin going to the mound. And then I know nothing about their starting pitcher. I'm going to try to look it up on the they announced their starting pitcher shortly before we came on air, Brian Hoeing. He has no stats for this year.
Oh.
So he must be bringing.
I got one.
He's 26.
I got one.
He has a whoa. Is this his career? Career ERA at 12.08 ERA. 12 innings pitched, 17 earned runs. She gone.
He gone, she gone, whatever's gone, they gone. But
I guess a light show tonight.
One question for you on the baseball front, and I know we got a lot of drafting to do, but it's only 23 games in. But when are we going to start if the Pittsburgh Pirates, I mean, I can't believe they're still playing this good at baseball. And I know it's 23 games, but at 16-7, this team they don't lose. They're on a 7-game heater right now. It's unreal.
By the way, real quick, so I can put a lid on this, Brian Hoeing. He came in, I believe this was last year, 5 times in September heading into, this was last year. 5 times, and it was in late September, early October. So he was a September call-up is what he was. He faced the Braves 2 of those times, 2.1 innings, 3 earned runs. Milwaukee. So I'm thinking this is a bullpen game. So what are you saying? What were you saying again?
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just looking at the baseball standings after I got to look at the Braves division. Then I look at the Cubs, and it's like, who would have thought 23 games in, and I don't know how real it is yet, but this Pittsburgh Pirates team who's won 7 in a row,
yeah,
it's unreal. I don't know if it's going to last, but
well, a lot of folks had them as a dark horse to possibly. I don't ever remember hearing someone putting their name on it and saying that they're going to make the playoffs, but they thought that they could be better than what the prognosticators. And I almost took them in Vegas because so many people talked about it. But you know how you get to the point where you're like, dude, too many people are talking about it. So I feel like this isn't going to be a thing, right? I don't have it in front of me, but I think their win total was a little over 70. Dude, they're 16-7 right now. And they're feisty. They're a feisty bunch. And they went out and they extended their outfielder today. Was it 6 years? No. Was it 8 years under possibly $120 million deal for Brian Reynolds?
That's a good cash in right there. And I
know what I was going to throw at you, Chicago boy.
Go ahead.
So they said that when he signed that deal, it took Pittsburgh off the list. There were 4 teams that had never signed a $100 million contract to a player in the history of baseball, right? And the first 2 didn't shock me because Pittsburgh's now off the list, so you can take them off the list. So there's just 3 teams. The first 2 were Kansas City and the A's. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. The 4th team, the Chicago White Sox.
Oh,
small market.
And let me explain why I'm sadly not surprised by that being here in Chicago. Jerry Reinsdorf, who owns, as we all know, he's the Chicago Bulls owner, and he owns the White Sox. He has never done anything ever since the MJ era / the White Sox World Series in the early 2000s that has pushed the needle forward. He lives on the past. These stadiums, especially the Bulls, not so much the White Sox, but the Bulls stadium's packed every night, so he leaves that one be. The White Sox side of things, I mean, if you go up and down their roster, sure, they have some good young guys, but there's no big deals there, like you were saying. And on top of that, they never, ever make the big move when it seems the right time. Yes, they've made some free agent moves like a Lance Lynn, but this team, all my fans, all my friends, they're so done. They actually make shirts and wear them to games now that say "Fire Jerry." It's kind of gotten to that point with a lot of White Sox fans, especially after the start to this season where they are just considerably worse. I know some people had them 3rd place, 2nd place, wherever they might have had them, but not in the dumpster fires of being, I think, something like 7-15. It's just been a complete crap show for this Chicago White Sox team. And to be honest with you, it doesn't seem to get much better with the injuries they have. Frauds.
He's a fraud of an owner, man. Fraud.
It's completely.
I was like, Chicago? Come on. There's not one deal out there. $100 million. Let's go. All right. It's 420. Smoke them if you got them. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country.
What about Kelso? I mean, Jackie has him totally whipped.
Ribbed like the family pig.
I am not pig whipped. It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute? I love Little Bites. I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay? Got it. As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-what, you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious. I love Little Bites. Here you go. Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Like, I don't like winter. Like, I hate winter. Like, I'm originally from North Carolina, and look, I hate winter so much, I'm for global warming. I am voting for it, marching for it. I might start buying people SUVs. I don't care. Ladies, start using hairspray again. No ozone. That's our goal. And see, there's people with me, but there's always a couple of crunchy granolas sitting around. Crunchy granolas sitting there thinking, but the polar ice caps are going to melt and we're all going to flood. No, we're not. We're not all going to flood. We're only losing Rhode Island, Long Island, and Jersey. Bye-bye.
Armchair.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves country, with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country. Let's go, baby! Another 11 spot on the board. Now we're talking turkey. A little ring-a-ding-ding. 5 home runs last night from the Atlanta Braves.
Ooh.
How about that?
You like that?
How about that? How excited are you for the draft on Thursday?
Oh, I'm at the point where I'm so excited that
keep your pants on. Don't go. Whoa.
Hands up. Don't cry. Don't cry here.
See him.
Here's my mail about the 10-year chart. Anyways, no, getting back to it. I'm really excited about this draft. I've been, obviously my team needs a quarterback. We're at pick number 4. I just want to know what's going to be left at this point. Is it going to be 3 options, 2 options, just 1 option? What's going to end up happening with the big 4 quarterbacks? I like Hooker, but I don't quite put him in that category with injury, of course. But I'm ecstatic. I'm ready. I'm just sick of the rumors. Just get me to Thursday night.
I mean, the good news for you is you'll be able to go to bed early, man.
Amen.
You got the 4th pick. You go. I mean, because I'll be honest, I guess I'll start heading to bed and I'll catch the Jaguar pick as I'm about ready to shut my eyes. I'm not staying up for this thing anymore. It's not that interesting. It's all a bunch of hoopla. It's just one long commercial. But I'm more interested when we get into day 2 because you got more picks going. Just I really feel like that they need to speed this up. I would be more excited about it if in the first night you got at least the first 2 rounds. What would be awesome if we went to a pitch clock in the NFL draft and you got like the first 3 rounds and then you finish it off on Friday with the last 4 and let's start our weekend and get back to watching real sports.
They would never do this, but one thing I just thought about on the fly, probably a terrible idea, but I think the draft would go way faster if they just cut out. You can't trade on the draft day. Once you get to draft day, trades are done. Because what I think happens is all these teams, and you'll see it with Arizona at pick 3 on Thursday night, is they sit there and they had to pick. They know who they want, but they drain that clock down to under a minute to make sure no team calls with some outlandish offer. And it's just like,
yeah. You're right about the fact that they would never change that.
No, definitely not. But that's to me, it's not about these guys being between 2 or 3 guys and they're just stuck there. Sure, maybe 1 or 2, 3 picks across the board. But, it's mostly because these teams, this guy fell a little bit. Maybe somebody's going to call me and give me a huge haul where I get like 3 third-rounders, a 4th, just crazy stuff. And that's what just to me is boggling it up, even though they shortened the time, which was kind of nice in the first round, but still not enough.
So I heard an interesting tidbit today. I thought I'd pass this along about the history of the NFL draft, right? And how it came about and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I guess I never cared enough to look it up and never really, wondered why it started and what I thought it was just, I'm not gonna say common sense, but it seems like it would make a lot of sense why they have the NFL draft. So I just thought it would organically begin. But come to find out, the NFL draft, which started in, I believe it was 1936. I think I have the date right on that. Okay. The NFL draft, or was it 1939? So let me see here. No, it was 36. Okay. 36 was the first year. They had 9 rounds. Yep. And then by 37, they went to like 10 rounds. By 1939, they expanded it to 20 rounds. But here's the interesting thing. In the first round, in the first year of the draft, 1936, only 9 teams showed up. I think there might have been a few more in the league, but only 9 showed up to the draft. And the reason why it began, the owner of Philadelphia did it because he didn't want to have to compete with other owners paying to recruit and to pay players coming out of college. So they end up having 9 rounds, 9 teams, 81 picks. It's all done in one day, by the way. So, wow, what a novel concept. But the most interesting thing of this entire thing, of the 81 players that were drafted in that first draft, only 24 played in the NFL that year.
Whoa.
The number 1 pick, I'm probably butchering his name, but Jay Burwanger. He was the first ever player to be picked and was drafted by the Bears. Anyways, long story short, he didn't play. He told them thank you, but no thank you, because I can make more money selling foam rubber. And he's a foam rubber salesman and ended up having a career with that. And I guess a lot of the guys that got drafted turned down the opportunity to play in the NFL because in 1936, they weren't making a whole lot of money and they were getting their legs broken left and right. And the short of it is much, much different than what we're seeing, obviously, in today's day and age, where playing in the NFL not only is glamorous, but there's also a lot of money involved.
And you know what's wild? Out of the 81 players that you mentioned that got taken, 28 running backs. That was the big.
Well, I believe it was 1959 or 1960 when they officially started having scouts and people that were actually in charge of looking at college players to get ready for the draft. And the only reason why that happened was because the AFL came into play. For folks who don't know what I'm talking about, you have the AFC and NFC now in the National Football League. There used to be the American Football League and the National Football League, and they were competing leagues. In the AFL and NFL, they started, it was actually the AFL that began it, but the NFL copycatted it and started hiring folks. They were calling them babysitters at the time, but basically they were going in to learn, to meet these players, because the big thing was coaxing them into playing for your league, your team. It wasn't just to see if they were any good. It was to make sure that Joe Smith is drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, plays for the Eagles, and doesn't decide to go play in the AFL with the Los Angeles Chargers. Because back then they were competing against each other. And so these babysitters were also in charge of hiding players around draft time. They would go and hide them in hotel rooms and wine and dine them to keep them away from the other scouts. We'll just call them scouts going forward. The other scouts, although they were known as babysitters back then, hiding them from the other scouts so they don't get to know them to know if they want to draft them.
If you didn't know, like me, about these drafts, it's interesting to go back and read because you could see the breakdown. And they put wing back in here, tail back. You could just tell how old school this is. This is awesome.
I just thought those were some pretty interesting nuggets. Because, by the way, have you seen the movie Air?
I have not, but I heard good things from multiple people. Really?
Saw it Sunday morning. Phenomenal. Very good job by is it Matt Damon,
yep,
Ben Affleck, and who I didn't know was going to be in the movie was Bateman. Jason Bateman's in the movie.
So if I'm between that and Super Mario Bros, I should.
Come on, man! Are you serious? I mean, if you're lighting a doobie, I guess go ahead and do the Super Mario Brothers.
Well, you said smoke them if you have them.
Exactly. I mean, but if you want like an actual entertaining adult movie, it's Air. It's phenomenal story. A little bit of it is Hollywooded up, but that's fine because
hey, you need that.
If you told the exact story in most movies, you'd be bored to tears. Speaking of bored to tears, let's go ahead and get into our NFL mock draft.
Oh, come on. This is my favorite part when you play that magic tune.
We got to get into this and get into it quick. We are going to try to get through 8 picks by the top of the hour.
Yes.
Miami through Dallas is where we're at. And I'm going to have to nerd it up and put the glasses on because I can't see what I'm doing if I don't have them on. So there you go. All right. So where are we at? We're at the number 20 pick. The pick is in Joey for the Miami Dolphins. Where are you going, my good sir?
Well, and, it's interesting looking at Miami because this is their first pick, being the first one was forfeited. And, I look at, as, modeling around this team here. To me, they need some tight end help. I really think this is, and I hear a lot that this tight end class is very deep. 4 already off the board. I'm going to go, though, with Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State. Now, he had a bad knee injury last year that kept him out. But if you just want to look at an athlete and see what this guy has done in college, go back to other years. This guy is a beast. If he can heal up the right way, which all signs are pointing that he will be a starter in this league. He stands at 6'6", 250. He has a nice arm, hand, all that good stuff. He's an athlete. But Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State, I'm taking to the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, Luke Musgrave. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. So that puts me on the clock. And we've got the Seattle Seahawks. And earlier in the draft, the Seahawks, in our draft, they have drafted... Let me set this up right. Okay. They've drafted Carter out of Georgia, Luke Van Ness, and then Schmitz. So they went offensive line. And then they went defense, Carter and Van Ness. And see what's actually available, because if we're talking about, it might be too early to go this route, but I'm really tempted. You know what? I'm going to do it because Geno Smith to me is not a slam dunk, right?
Uh-oh, I agree.
And so I am going to, and I can't put it on here. I'm going to do it afterwards because I'm sharing on one screen and doing it on another. But this is a guy that I'm just a big fan of him. When he was in college, I watched a lot of games of his. I'm really interested to see what he does. He's ranked just below another gentleman in the draft at that position, but I'm going to go ahead and take him. So the pick is in with the 21st pick in the first round. I am going to go with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, quarterback out of UCLA. How about that?
Woo, you're shaking the feathers up there. But honestly, I think that's a great pick because I don't trust Geno Smith either. And the value there, pretty good.
Well, plus, Geno Smith's up in age. I mean, I get it, they signed him to a 3-year deal. But to me, this would be a perfect project to see if you can develop them. And they have a similar skill set, so you wouldn't have to change your offense up much. And let's be honest, most quarterbacks don't make it through 16 picks. So let's go. Right?
Hey, you try to support Geno in the first round, try to replace him in the second. You never know what you're going to get. He had one good year in his past. I mean, one really good season in his past 5. Let's not overreact, Seattle fans. You need a QB in the future.
So there you have that. You went Musgrave with I'm going to get them on here in 1 second.
And I put it in the chat as well.
Right. You would not believe the junk that I have on my screen right now. I just looked at it.
I imagine a million tabs.
I can't even see it. Like, I don't even know where our picks are. Okay. All right, then. Okay. So where are we at now?
The Monsters of the Midway in Chicago.
Thankfully, well, Reindorf doesn't own them too, does he?
Nope, but another cheap person in the McCaskies do.
What's going on in Chicago, man?
We got cheap ownership in most of these places.
Did you see a girl Lightfoot on her way out is talking about how they got to clean up the city and certain things are not acceptable anymore? Where was this crap at her whole tenure?
Please, between her and the new guy, oh my goodness, it's sickening. You don't go to Chicago unless you're going to a sporting event, people. I'll say it like that.
But it just cracked me up because she was all holier than thou, like, we got to really get this under control. I was like, yeah, we've all been saying that for, I don't know, a decade now.
She struck out 9 times over trying that one.
Yeah, she is the only one whose OPS is lower than Marcell Ozuna's right now.
Hey, I saw Avisail Garcia had a couple of bombs. That trade that you and Troche were talking about. Might as well just swap. Take Garcia.
Dude, I will take it in a second.
I know you will.
People only think they know what bad baseball is until they watch Marcell Ozuna daily. You don't get the full flavor of Marcell Ozuna until you've watched him day after day after day, and you keep seeing him in the lineup day after day after day. All right. Where are you going next?
Oh, man. After the Bears took a lineman to protect Fields in round number 1 by Paris Johnson, I think that good pick to protect them. But this defense has a lot of holes. And honestly, I'm staying pretty local here for Chicago because I'm taking a cornerback / safety out of Illinois, Quan Martin. He's, they say he's one of the most versatile backs that's on the board at this point and they say it's a deep cornerback class. So out of the University of Illinois, Quan Martin, he goes by Quan or Jartervit. Whatever you think's easier to spell, but I'm going with Quan Martin.
If you missed the tail end of yesterday's show, man, you missed something your brother tried to pronounce. I can't even remember the guy's name now, but it was funny. Every time he would go to pronounce this cat's name, it sounded different each time that he said it.
I think you're talking the Northwestern guy he grabbed for Tampa. I can't even pronounce that. I don't even want to try.
Well, it's funny. He must have said it 5 or 6 times, and each time it was nowhere close to the previous time that he said it.
How many vowels does one guy need? Holy cow.
I wish I could remember the guy's name, but it was the equivalent of someone looking at the name John and going, John, Joan, Hone.
I'm gonna try this one time. Anatomia, Bawar.
No way in hell that's right.
And I'm not trying it again.
And I don't know how it's pronounced, but no way in hell that's right. I'm pretty sure I haven't heard it correctly yet. I'm waiting till the draft to hear someone who might have actually watched a Northwestern game.
There wasn't much fun to watch this year outside of Satorsky. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to play your music.
Yes.
Okay. So now we head to the Chargers. And the Chargers in the first round of our mock draft grabbed Bijan Robinson. Which, by the way, there's no way he lasts that long. But
no.
If he does, he would be a perfect fit at that point, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
For a team that, it sounds like that Eckler is trying to push his way out. So let's just go with the theory that they went and they got him. He falls that far. I really think there's a very good chance that the Atlanta Falcons end up with Bijan Robinson.
Ooh, that'd be really nice.
I know a lot of folks are saying, well, you can't draft a running back that. Why can't you draft a running back that high? And just assume that you're not going to re-sign him. Run him into the ground for 5 years to go draft another running back.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Why overpay when nobody does it for a running back anyways, when you could just get the rookie deal and ride him in for 4 years?
Absolutely. I mean, that is where I would be going. But okay. I digress. So I think the other big thing that they're needing there, man, these guys are coming off the board. But I think he's still there. I don't think I've seen him yet. And he's coming from tight end U, and they need a tight end in a big way. And Sam Laporta, I believe, is still there. I know Washington's off the board, Kincaid, Mayer, and then you just took Musgrave.
Laporta went to Green Bay in round 2, pick 14.
Oh, he did? Okay. Well, then that totally screws up what I was. Okay.
I do have a tight end for you if you need one, though.
Well, I don't want to just keep grasping at straws at tight end.
No, I know.
Let me go. All right, that's fine. We will head a different direction. And we're going to see what the best one available left is for the. I do think that they being the Chargers, I do think that they need help inside. Is Kalijah Cansey still there?
I think I saw his name. He went to Dallas in round 1, pick 26.
Okay. What about Mozzie Smith? Do you have that in front of you?
I do not. I think you're okay there.
Okay, I'm going to go Mozzie Smith to the inside lineman, interior lineman, as they're calling, or their interior defenders, as they're calling them now. But nose tackle, Mozzie Smith, 6'3", 323 from Michigan. And I'm going to go with that pick there.
Michigan guy. Oh, that's easier to spell than I thought. Cool. Okay, Michigan.
Go down that road. Mozzie, Maisie, Mazai.
Otzi ball.
Mozzie Smith. They've only listed at 323, but everything I read says that he's actually been up to 337.
I see that as well. 337.
Is that his donut weight? Is the 337? And
that's the off season.
when he's sweating to the oldies, he's down to the 323.
Oh man!
All right. So now, where are we at here? Joey's got the pick in, and it is the Lions pick here.
Yep. So with round 2, pick 24, Detroit took edge rusher Miles Murphy at pick number 6. They have another first-round pick at 18. They went D-line as well. So they went with a couple of defensive guys here. And I'm going to change that trend and go with another Michigan product. I'm going to go with my next tight end off the board, Luke Schumacher. And probably butch that name. Oh, well. But out of Michigan, look, this guy, he had 35 catches before he got injured. He was spreading all over the field. I think he's standing at about 6'5", 250 pounds. I think he'll be a starter in this league within a couple of years. So I'm going with Luke Shoemaker. I actually butchered that the first time, but I'm going to put it in the chat. His name out of Michigan. That would be the 5th tight end off the board now, maybe 6th even.
I'll wait for you to do that because it's a lot easier for me to copy and paste than it is for me to go in here and.
I'm doing it right now.
Doing it. You're doing it, man. You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
See, we're gonna get all the way to was the Dallas pick. All right, so I'm gonna.
Yep.
Cut that right there. All right. Okay. So my pick is up, and it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. First round, the Jacksonville Jaguars went with Witherspoon, defensive back from Illinois. One of the more physical defensive backs. I think he'll perfect fit for the Jaguars. I really hope he's there. I seriously doubt that he is, but I really hope he's there when Jacksonville makes their pick. But you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and what they need. Edge rusher, offensive line, and looking at what is still available, and I might need some help here because I can't see what has already been taken.
I got you, brother.
But if you start heading towards the offensive lineman, the offensive tackle, that's the big need for the Jaguars. Pretty sure Paris Johnson's already taken from Ohio State, correct?
Gone.
And I know Jones from Georgia is gone.
Yep.
Darnell Wright from Tennessee.
I believe he is gone.
I almost took him the other day, and I didn't take him on another team, and I can't remember if someone else grabbed him.
You know what?
If he's still there, that's my pick.
Yeah, because I'm going through Skoronski, gone. Oh, Darnell Wright, pick round 1, pick 13 to the Jets.
Okay. Anton Harrison.
He is gone.
No, you know what? No, you know who I want. DeJuan Jones. I'm pretty sure he's there. I
think you're good.
I can't believe that he's ranked underneath Harrison. Give me DeJuan Jones. The pick is in. DeJuan Jones, or otherwise known as DeJuan. We're going to do that with every player now. 6'8", 374 pounds, 36 and 3/8 inch arms.
Holy.
Says he runs the 40 and 5.35. I'm just glad he can stand upright. Give me some DeJuan Jones, man.
He walks with a slight limp.
He makes everybody else walk with a slight limp. Jones only 5 pressures on 419 blocking snaps last season. 5 pressures and evidently 0 sacks allowed. That's big boy football right there, and that's what they need in Jacksonville. I don't understand why he would be down so low. I guess because he doesn't run fast. Who needs an offensive lineman who can run fast? He needs to go like 5 yards. 5 yards and mash like hell.
The tackles went crazy. You could, after looking at this mock draft, man, people want their offensive linemen.
Yeah, that's why I seriously doubt that he makes it that deep. But that could be a name that you see Jacksonville go after in the first round, or trade up much higher in the second round. All right, you're on the clock with the New York Giants.
And after looking at the Giants draft so far, they took a receiver, USC, Bill Jones a little bit here. But I think they need defense. If you watch that Eagles game a season ago, they let up way too many points. Yeah. Woo. They got
to do something to stop that Philadelphia run game. That's all I know. Especially because there are these reports coming in that Derrick Henry could be being traded to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and actually, I should help the run game a little bit more, but I'm actually going to help out the back end a little bit and take – this is an easy one, people. Cam Mitchell, cornerback out of Northwestern. Northwestern players are flying off the board, but this guy is a physical dude. Again, cornerback is really deep in this draft. This could be a potential back end of the first round value. You're getting this late. So I think what better way to go than try to stop some of these Eagles receivers, Dallas receivers that they added Brandon Cooks, get Cam Mitchell, cornerback out of Northwestern.
All right. What is your next pick? Because you have the next pick with the Dallas Cowboys as well.
Yep. And hey, what better place? The pick is in. What better place to go than to Dallas? And I'm actually going to say in the same category as I work on typing this one in here for out of Texas A&M, actually. He's a safety, but they say could play corner. And Antonio Johnson, he's rated as the third best safety by a lot of people. Anywhere in the top 5, he has them. But this safety / corner out of A&M, Antonio Johnson, I'm having go to the Dallas Cowboys because that division is going to be scoring a lot of points, maybe outside of Washington. They might not score many, but the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to be scoring at will. I think this will help the Dallas Cowboys shore up their back end. Their safety play is questionable. They got Stephon Gilmore in a trade, help solidify Diggs on the other side, but they need a safety. I'm thinking this guy, Antonio Johnson, out of Texas A&M, will do that.
So Tone says that DeJuan Jones was drafted in the first round, so I'm pivoting and taking Matt Bergeron. He's the next best available offensive tackle.
Okie dokie.
I thought that was a little odd that he lasted that long, but
I think there's like 8 tackles gone.
Anytime we do these, man, it's so hard to keep up. And realistically, I realize now that we're going to have to start this much earlier next year, but because it's so much more difficult if you try to do multiple picks each day, along with all the other stuff that we're trying to do. So it's really easy to double up on picks.
Oh yeah, it is, because if it's on the same day and everyone's
next year we're going to start this thing like Halloween.
Yeah, we'll start it when the playoffs are starting or something like that. We'll do one team a day for 150 straight days.
Kickoff of the NFL season 23 will begin the 24 draft. People will be texting in like, who do I start? This guy or this guy in week 1 for fantasy football. We don't have time for that. On the first pick and
you don't even know the order. We don't need it. We don't need the order. It's overrated. Oh my God, this is too good.
We're all going to do trades anyways. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
That's why when people play that game now where they try to see how many picks they can get right out of 32, and it's usually like 3 or 4, because with how many trades, you can't even keep up with how many players are going to be moving around. So all the things you hear, it's all going to be a bunch of malarkey the next couple of days, people. Just get ready. Watch the NBA, NHL, watch the MLB regular season. Don't stress yourself with these rumors. Just turn it on Thursday and enjoy.
You're trying to tell me that you're not going to watch the draft?
No. I'm telling you, in the next couple of days, don't be looking at rumors. Don't be buying all this thing about odds changing and stuff. Watch the playoffs. Watch everything going down.
But the fun of it, I mean, the fun leading up to the draft, because once the draft actually gets here, it's actually incredibly boring.
It depends where you're at in the draft. If you're in the top 5 and you need a QB, it's going to be pretty dang interesting.
It's pretty boring though, because your team drafts and then you have to wait around 30 picks to draft again.
Like you said, I could go to bed early. I got pick 4. That's what's awesome when your team stinks. You get to go to bed early. Yay me.
I still think there's a very good on tomorrow's show. Actually, you know what? Thursday's show, when you're on, let's do big predictions on the draft.
I'm all in.
We'll do a handful of them. Because at that point, man, I'm going to be mock drafted out. I'm going to try to get to the end of the second round tomorrow and just be done with the mock drafts. We got like 4 picks. I'm just going to rattle them off.
Yeah, just start saying.
Tones, if you're watching tomorrow and I pick someone who's already been picked, shut your mouth. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care if we double, we triple, we quadruple. We're going to round 3, pick 96.
The last pick of the second round, CJ Stroud. I don't want to hear he's already been picked, man. That's my pick. It's in. How about Stephen A. Smith, ya boy, did a top 5 greatest playoff performances of all time in the NBA? And this was sparked because of LeBron's 2020 last night. And he picked Michael Jordan's 63 points against the Celtics. And like, not only did they not win the game, they got swept in the series, and that's your number 1 playoff moment of all time.
You got to have it on a win, right?
I think you got to have it in the NBA Finals. You got to have something that somebody did to win a championship. I mean, if we're going to put losing moments, what Isaiah Thomas did against the Lakers right before that they won the whole thing the next year, when Isaiah, like, he, I don't know, was walking around on a broken foot or whatever it was in the finals. That was a phenomenal performance. Scoring 63 when the Celtics just said, we're going to let you do your thing because you're not going to win the game. That's not phenomenal performance.
Yeah, who cares if somebody throws 4 touchdowns and you lose 49-35? It's not an epic performance if you can't win.
Running out of time, what is your lock and what is your walk-off?
My lock of the day, I think the Nuggets obliterate Minnesota tonight. I know it's a big line, but I think the Nuggets -10. I've taken a big spread before in the NBA playoffs. It works sometimes. These teams, don't let them fool you. Nuggets will end it tonight. Walk-off is enjoy the NBA playoff.
What's the line again?
Nuggets -10.
Oh, wow. I saw the
home
Celtics line is like up to 13.5, 14 points, something like that. I was like,
yeah. But you know, though, these home teams, all these series tonight are 3-1. I think they're all going to end tonight.
Well, I do believe that they're going to probably win the game. I don't like laying something that much. I'm going to go with the Braves again. Charlie Morton -1.5 run line against Hoeing and the Marlins bullpen. I think they're going to light the scoreboard up. And Morton, though he lost last time out, remember, he shut down the Padres. He gave up the 1 home run to Soto. Other than that, it was an incredible performance. I think he's going to roll again tonight. My walk-off is tonight, 7:20, Braves versus Marlins, right here, Braves Country HD'd on YouTube. YouTube.com/ Braves Country. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 to 5. We go live. Get your morning started off right here on the key, 7 to 10, Ryan O Radio Penitentiary. We got a jam. Have a good one, y'all.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Hey, Braves Country. Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac Magee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball for the fans, by the fans.